All right. Welcome, folks. We are just kind of hanging out here. This is Value Vintage Cards, my channel. I'm quote unquote hosting this, but yeah, I'm sitting here watching everybody at the National, and I was in a couple of chats with some good friends that were similarly at home. So we thought we'd just get together, hang out, and chat a bit. So got my buddy Mark, Dodgers Cards, with us, and Mr. Neil, Cardboard Coach. And of course, Jayhawker, Mr. Mike. How you doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, Aaron doing great. All
Awesome.
those guys are coming back from the Nationals, so the Nationals is over pretty much for them right now. So
This is grand finale day, right? We're recording this Sunday at 12:13, so everybody's probably running around trying to make one last trade or pick up one last card or in commute to return home, I'd imagine. So
finding the last minute bargains.
Right.
Yeah. Convincing the dealer that it's not worth packing that thing up to take back with you. You might as well just sell it to me for 10% less. Yeah, that's a good time at the show.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody jumping on. We were kind of just chatting, and I feel like we've had so many different conversations about the National and then the week and just the hobby. And some of you guys have been texting for months and months and months, and some I'm just getting a chance to connect with recently. So that's kind of a fun thing too. So this is a great opportunity for us just to get together and chat, talk hobby. We kind of come up with a few topics and ideas to run through just to give some focus and some ideas and gives us a chance to pull some cards and share. So that's always fun too. So you guys want to kick this off? Who's got the first idea that we came up with?
I guess I'll start with the National and thoughts. As somebody who's never been to the National, I've never been to a huge show like that, a big regional show in my life, which is odd because I've collected cards since the early 80s. I haven't done that. I am going to Strongsville next year, but just watching the content, I mean, I appreciate everybody who does record and post stuff, whether it's little pickups and to the big pickups. I like to watch everything. But the thing about it to me is more than the cards themselves, and they're beautiful cards that I could ever dream about ever owning in my own personal collection. But it's the camaraderie. I love seeing the guys out on the floor and their buddies are helping them find cards and it's helping them select them. And I love seeing people get the cards that were on their list. It's just, I have a fun time watching it. I probably watch way too much, but hey, it beats, like I was telling these guys before we started recording, it beats watching the news and getting depressed or stuff like that. It's just fun. I mean, it's just, you get people from all different backgrounds, all different collecting styles to come together. So I enjoy it. I appreciate it. And for all of you who are out there, if you watch this and you were at the National and you've posted content, I appreciate it. I really do. As someone who's never been, it gives me a good feel of what I'm missing out on. Really gets me pumped up to go to Strongsville. That's much more my speed. I can tell just from the cameras and walking around and seeing all the stuff I don't have interest in. But that's fine if you do. But I'm definitely pumped up more than ever to go to Strongsville next year.
Yeah, Strongsville sounds great.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just agreeing with Mike.
Yeah, no, I was just saying National is a kind of a very special show, and wish I could have been able to make it this year. It has been great to see the content, and last year was the first year I had been at the National where I had a YouTube channel. I just started my channel, and what you were saying, Mike, I mean, I think the community is just like super welcoming. It was like really awesome as somebody who had just started a channel to get to meet people and actually connect in person with some people who I've been seeing on the screen. So that was really cool. And I wish I could have gone. It didn't work out this year. Maybe next year, maybe Strongsville, who knows? But the other thing that's really cool about the National is that there's just so much like variety of stuff that you don't get at other shows. And as somebody who's like a team collector, if I was at the National this year, I would have gone ham on like O-Pee-Chee cards and find somebody who's got a binder of like all of them and just get all the Dodger commons and stuff like that. Something you can't really do other places, in addition to finding like kind of more rare, unique items. And I was just telling these guys beforehand, before we got on here, that the first National I went to was 1987 at the Disneyland Hotel when I was a kid. And I think I went to the one in 1991 too, also down in Southern California. And those were, as a kid, seeing all that just quantity of stuff was just really incredible. And I did get a couple of my favorite pickups from the National when I was a kid. I had saved up some money from selling cards. Mostly, I would like open packs and sell the cards and save the money and put it into other cards. And so these are two of my favorite National pickups from childhood. I got these together. This one, from 1958, and then also
Busters,
this one.
Wow.
And I got them together. It was the biggest purchase I'd ever done, and basically used all my card money for that. But that was like my favorite memory from a National.
I think that's the greatest subset ever created. Those, from the 58, that little subset.
Oh, the combo cards are awesome.
Yeah, the combos, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That
That's really,
the Maze, I'm sorry, the Aaron and Mantle one, I bought that card as a kid, probably 14, 15 years old. And I knew when I got it, of course, there's no such thing as grading back then, but I knew when I got it, it looked almost too good to be true. And of course, when I got home and compared it to another card, I'm like, okay, it's trimmed a little bit. Now that was the kiss of death for a generation of collecting. Now, not so much. I would rather have, and I did send it off to grading this year, and it came back authentic evidence of trimming, which I knew it would. It's still a beautiful card. That's the only real flaw on the entire thing. It's completely clean other than that. But, for somebody on my collecting budget, I would rather have that than a one that's got creases all over it. And you just, I would look at that and I couldn't enjoy it. But that's fine. I don't need to upgrade. I'm not an upgrade person at all. So beautiful card.
yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Neil? What's your thoughts on National and?
So, the National, I mean, I would like to go every year, but I can't. I've been to, I think, 5 or 6, all East Coast. Well, actually, no, I've been to Cleveland once. I had a great time, and I went to Cleveland because, like Mike had said, and what Mark had said, you're meeting people. You're seeing guys that now this is more of a message board type of thing. This is prior to YouTube, but guys I've known for upwards of now 20 some years, just through a couple of message boards, meeting up, and that's what makes it great. I'm fortunate where I have a show. The Philly show it rivals the National, in my opinion. It's not as big, and that one we just saw on the video highlights, that looked massive. Just 2 floors of it too. So I mean, National's great, but it's the I don't know. It's I don't get the whole like I want to go to Strongsville because I've never seen it. If the National was closer, I'd like to I'd go, but taking upwards of a week when we just get we usually take a family vacation around the same time. I'm rambling right now, so who knows? But it's I mean, love seeing the cards. I think seeing all the guys would be a lot. That's what makes it. That's what makes the card show.
Yeah, I agree. And some of the things that I've heard from this year's National was, well, on a lot of the videos, guys were talking about how pricey. The dealers were definitely getting their money's worth, and I don't know if that's a good thing. To me, it makes it seem like the hobby's pretty healthy, considering everything that's going on. So I try to look at it as a positive thing. Yeah, it always kind of bugs me when people's like, vintage cards. Nobody's watched those guys play. Well, they said the same thing in the 80s when I started collecting.
Yeah.
The most of the cards that were on there that people were really pumped about, nobody ever watched those guys play. Their grandfathers probably didn't even watch those guys play. I mean, it's still a very healthy hobby, in my opinion. So, and I don't see that changing. Sure, it's going to have some fluctuations, but if you, like I was telling these guys, if you look at this price guide, and I just bought this because I wanted to learn more about the kind of the oddball type stuff that I just don't know a lot about that I'm getting into. Go back. This is just 10 years old, and if you look at the prices for some of these cards, I'm not talking about the mainstream ones, but kind of more the oddball stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing the increase in prices. And if you go back 30 years before that, you'd see the same thing. It's just, it just kind of goes up, plateaus, goes up. It's never going to crash like the ultra modern people predict it will be. It's not going to do it.
I saw the same thing at the National last year about the prices, but there were still lots of deals to be had. And like, there were a lot of things you could get that were reasonable.
Yeah.
Aaron, what about you? What about your national experiences?
So, well, I think it's kind of wrapping into a couple of the different topics that were addressed. I've only been to one national ever, and it was in that weird gap where I was I don't know if I was married yet. I was probably married. Um, but pre-kids, so you're talking almost 20 years ago. It was in Chicago. I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't know what it was. My brother-in-law was going there, and he was taking some stuff in for authentication. He's like, "Yeah, there's a big show. It's a national." I'm like, "What's a national card show? That's crazy."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm used to like the local, like, community center kind of thing with 25 tables, and it's $20 to set up. So I tagged along and went with my dad, who ended up, you talk about like memorable cards and pickups. Like that was the one we
Nice.
got. And you talk about pricing. I remember this is the most expensive card my dad's ever bought for me. It was either 195 or 199. I remember it was a pinch under 200. And I was just looking at some of the stuff, and I was like, that seems kind of reasonable for a Joe DiMaggio card. He's like, "Oh, you like that one?" So he swiped the plastic, and we ended up back in the day we'd swipe plastic, right? Now we're
Yeah.
Venmoing and PayPaling and all the stuff, and it's a lot easier. But yeah, that's the only national I've ever been to, and so it was part of a day. My challenge is like I wouldn't be able to go for the whole week either. If we go
Yeah.
back to Chicago, like that's where my family's from, so like I want to go back there and see family and make it a little family vacation for us. I'll probably go for one day, um, maybe two. I mean, this guy's going 3 4 days. Like I'm out of money. I'm out of you know,
Yeah.
not out of fun, but probably out of energy. Um, those are
That's a big
marathon
commitment.
days.
Big commitment.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I feel like Strongsville is like the perfect storm of convenient. I mean, the hotel is what it is, but it's right there. I mean, you feel like you're in a college dorm again. You're
So
all
you've been to Strongsville,
yes,
Aaron?
twice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, nice. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I heard it's really good.
Highly, highly, highly recommended. First years, we met Jason and Sammy in Orlando, and we met several folks there, and it was neat. But we were watching. I didn't have a channel at the time, um, and so it was a different experience. But you saw people you knew. Um,
Oh yeah.
you know, had a deal with Mike Petty at that show. Like just cool stuff. You got to meet people. I saw Greg. Saw just all the YouTubers you'd want to see.
Yeah.
Um, And it's funny because you'll talk to somebody and like, yeah, Theo, I met you at Strong's. Like, really? I'm like, yeah, it was like a good 10-minute conversation, but that's okay, man. Um, it's
Yeah.
like I give him a hard time, but when you're walking through and it's maybe he saw a name on a screen, but generally it's just somebody you have never really interacted with in person, which I think is it's the weird advantage of this is you just walk and be like, Mike, right?
Right.
Like we
Yeah,
know
that's
each
true.
other even if we've never
Yeah.
met. Like it's amazing.
Well, my channel's still new. I think, Neil, I think your channel is still relatively new.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm 4 months into having the channel, and I would probably be uncomfortable going there without having the channel. I hadn't planned on going to Strongsville until after I really started getting into the YouTube and making the videos.
Yeah.
I watched content for years, absolutely for years, especially when COVID started. Unfortunately, the first one that popped up, I think, was Goober Wilson's. I think that was the first thing that came up in my feed somewhere, and I was like, "Who is this charlatan guy?" I mean, this. But then I was like, "Well, maybe there's vintage." And I think I typed in vintage. I think Mike Monahan's channel was the first one that popped up, and then I
Yeah.
was hooked. And then I started searching out. So I've been kind of a lurker in the background for a number of years.
Oh yeah. Same with same here. Same
And I
here.
got to the point I was going to start selling cards. I was like, well, I don't have any hobby buddies at all. None of my friends, even the ones that set up the shows or care about vintage, they're all ultra modern collectors. And I was just getting to the point. My kids are grown. My son's not into this at all. And I was like, well, I don't know if I even need these, but I couldn't do it. And then once I started making the content, Chris from Missouri is the one who told me start making content. Jason, everyday card collector, encouraged me to.
Mhm.
And I went down and met Chris a couple times at shows in Columbia, Missouri. And I just, the more videos I watched, the more I wanted to be part of this because I found my people. Even as a kid, I collected vintage, and I always felt like I collected on an island by myself. So
Yeah.
now I don't want to sell stuff. Now I just want to keep it. And I was a hoarder. I kept everything that except when I sold at shows. I sold at shows as a teenager and through my early 20s, and I wish I could go back in time and get some of those cards and bring them back with me. You can't do that. So, I
Yeah.
know where I am fit in on the little spectrum in terms of the kind of cards that I can afford to get, and I'm perfectly happy. I love my collection, but going to Strongsville next year is going to be a blast because it's going to be a room full of people that I've seen for years. They won't know me very much because I've got a small little channel, but I'm going to know them, so I'm going to feel comfortable enough knowing their personalities, knowing a little bit about them.
Mike, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised who's going to know you from your channel. When I went to the National last year, I had just started my channel like 3 months earlier. And I walked in and people were like, "Oh, Mark, Dodger cards." I'm like, "How do you know who I am?" It was really
that actually has happened to me. Here locally, I've gone to a couple of shows. Of course, a lot of times I have the same stuff on that I wear when I'm on the video, like my Jayhawk hat or my little Royal stuff. And I've had people say, "Hey, I've seen you on YouTube." And the first couple of times, it really freaked me out, to be honest with you, because you don't know who they are. You have no idea who they are. They don't have channels. They're just kind of a lurker like I was for years. But it was kind of cool, that people are out there and they do see your content. So. It's
very cool, and I always say the people that are watching and not trying to produce content know everyone so much better. When I was deciding if I wanted to do a channel or not, I was watching everybody, and you don't have to worry about picking cards and what you're going to show and having recording and worrying about getting set up and finding the right time. Like, you're just watching videos because that's your enjoyment time. So it really is a cool dynamic of just folks. And one of my lifelong best friends really is, I consider him part of the community, but he doesn't have a channel. But everybody sees him, knows him now, and he's like, "Oh, Joe is with us," and Joe doesn't have a channel, but disclosure. But
Sure.
He's at all the shows and at all the events and everything else. So I think Strongsville is like the perfect thing if you're vintage heavy. Mark probably crosses more into like anything Dodgers, so he might be loving the national environment more just because you do have the full range of everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Pretty much all vintage, but I do like a little bit of everything pre-1980.
Now, Aaron, are you going to be at Strongsville next year, you think?
Yes, I was supposed to be at the National this year, and just plans kind of jumbled on us, and we fell through. But yeah, Strongsville, I think, will always be in the cards for us. It's a good time, school wise and business wise and everything else. So I'm usually able to scoot away from the problem. Plus, it's a short time and it's a weekend.
Yeah. And then
it's
Neil,
an easy
what about
drive.
you?
What's that?
Is Neil, are you planning on going to Strongsville next year?
I am. So I've only known about Strongsville for the past 2 years. I think just from watching YouTube, I kind of started just like you guys, just watching a buddy of mine, one of the guys I meet up with at the Philly show, and if I'm going to the National, he's usually there as well. He told me about John Mangini on YouTube, and this is year and a half, 2 years ago. So I started watching, and I think it's somehow it knows that you're looking at baseball cards, because shortly thereafter, Value Vintage pops up, and just this start following these guys. But it wasn't until I started making content. But getting back to the question, I'm going to go. I heard about it about 2 years ago. Thought maybe last year I might go, but this year I booked rooms, so I have rooms available. And I'm going to drive. I'm like you, Mike, where I don't mind driving. It's fun to, and plus the PA Turnpike. If you've never driven down it, that's how it's just it's a great ride, great drive, very scenic and relaxing. So right before the show. And
then Mark, you said you're hoping you can get there. Was that right?
I'm going to see how my travel lines up. I don't really like traveling that much, and I may have to travel for work, and I may have some other thing that lines up with it. So we'll see how it all overlaps. But I'd like to get out to Strongsville or National again next year or some other year. As it is, the big show on the West Coast is the West Coast Card Show, and that's in late August, and I will be going to that. And I know
where's that held at?
That's it's going to be in Anaheim.
Oh, nice.
This time. And that works out well because I got family in Southern California. Anyway, there will be some of the LA West Coast people who are on YouTube will be at that show, and I'm hoping to meet up with them. So
nice,
cool.
That's awesome. Well, should we dive in? I know one of the things we were all kind of, it's, the FOMO of everything, seeing all the videos, seeing all the pickups, seeing all the, look what I scored. You guys got any recent pickups that you want to share with? And I don't know if it's National Week. I think it's interesting too, when you look at the dynamic of like online auctions. I feel like there might be a component to less competition this week. It might also be like Christmas, where like end of the year, you have like Christmas, Hanukkah, end of year, like people spend a little bit less because they're worried about family gifts and not so much with the hobby, so you get some deals. But did you guys pick up anything in the recent week or two?
Recent week, no. Recent 2, yes. It's over there, but I'll get it in a second. It's out of camera length or whatever, phone length.
It's just out of reach. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, out of reach. I showed it on a recent one. I got that Red Heart mantle, which knowing I wasn't going to go to the National, but
Neil, that card is incredible.
That is crazy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my favorite Mickey card. I had it once before and I sold it. This was probably 10 years ago. Back then, when you sold something, you could kind of get it back reasonably. It just seemed like the pricing was much more manageable than it is nowadays. So who knows?
That's fair.
I had a couple recent pickups. I call it my Nationals pickup. I made a little video about it, so I'm not going to show all the cards, but I bought a lot that arrived the day before yesterday on Friday, and I was super happy about it. It was a lot of 1953 and 52 Topps cards that included a few that I'll show the Dodgers. This 52 Ralph Branca. Now this is a DGA slab. I don't know anything about DGA grading, but I looked at the card and it looks decent. So that one, a couple of 53s. Which 53, I don't have very many 53s. And that actually, these 52 cards, this is a tough high number short print. And then the prize of it, which I'm thrilled with, these are my first 1952 Topps Dodgers. I didn't have any cards from that set. Is this Duke Snider, which is like, I think, perfectly centered. And I don't really understand how it's a 5 and not a 6, but the surface looks awesome. But what do I care? I mean, I got it as part of this lot. I'm not selling it, so doesn't really matter to me. But that was a cool pickup. And then I also bought yesterday, I paid for another lot of 1960 Topps cards, and there's a couple Dodgers in there that I'm going to use to upgrade my collection. So
nice.
Then I'm going to sell through all the stuff that I don't need and take that money and go to the West Coast Card Show and buy a bunch of cool stuff.
It's perfect.
Well, also a couple things. I just got this yesterday. I went to a show in Lee Summit, Missouri, and I showed this to the guys beforehand. But the main reason I went to that show is over the last couple of years, I've been learning about my great grandpa. And I knew from my mom that he was a huge Brooklyn Dodgers fan, but I really couldn't understand why a guy who lived in the Ozark Mountains in Arkansas, never lived anywhere else, who he was a big fan of or why. But I did some detective work, posted a video about it, but the player was Zach Wheat. Now, the reason I'm showing this book is a dealer at that show is named Kenny Dixon. And at a show recently in Boonville, where I met up with a bunch of Missouri YouTubers and some guys from Arkansas, and even Rusty Vintage Cards from Oklahoma, drove like 5 or 6 hours to that show. Well, one guy went over and talked to him and came back and said, "Hey, this guy knows everything about Zach Wheat. He's got a huge Zach Wheat collection." So I went over there and looked at it. And I've actually, Mark and I talked a little bit about that. Not as in depth as probably we should have, but I reached out to Kenny and said, "Hey, I know this guy Mark, who's a big Zach Wheat fan, a big Dodgers fan," and he said, "Yeah, I'd be willing to talk to him." But he goes, "Hey, come by, I'll get you a book on Zach Wheat, a biography." So I went to it, and I've already started reading this, and I'm learning so much about him. But what's cool about it is it's signed by the author, and then I had Kenny sign it because Kenny is in the forward of this book, and almost every picture in this book of Zach Wheat comes from Kenny's collection. He has an amazing collection. So I picked this book up there yesterday. But while I was there, you didn't have to buy a card. I'm trying to save for Strongsville, and I'm failing miserably. But I'm not a big autograph guy. But this one caught my eye. It's a Red Sheen, these 52 Tops auto.
Nice.
And always a big fan of.
Nice.
I'm not a Cardinals fan. I'm a Royals fan, but I love a lot of the Cardinals. So don't tell me. But then recent pickups, I got this. Everybody knows Chris from Missouri. I'm a guy who's on a limited budget. So if I see a card that has my appeal or eye appeal, whatever you want to call it, I don't care what the grade is. If it's good enough for me and I know I'm going to be happy with it forever, I'm going to get it. So this is my favorite Pete Rose card. Now I have
Great card.
Pete Rose. I have one when I was a kid that was all beat up. And if you send it off for grading, it'd probably get a 2, but it doesn't look as good as this. And I know it's because it was trimmed a little bit. But there's not a crease, there's not a flaw in this card other than it was trimmed a little bit. I'm not competing with anybody. I don't do set registries, so I don't care. I can look at this card, and I look at my cards like Mark Mangini. I look at cards all the time. Actually, here's the raw one I have. It's beat to hell. This one's much better. If you'd send it off for grading, you wouldn't get authentic. You'd get a 1 or a 2. I would rather have this one. And then I got this to show that I do actually have some modern cards. I got this off of Billy Ballgame when he was selling his collection. He did pay for some expenses, and I took this one off of him. And I said, I will hold this for you if you ever want it back. And he says, no, I'll get another one. So I don't know why it's a 9, but it's beautiful. But the cards I really wanted to show are supposed to come tomorrow. So I'll show them on my phone if you can see it. If you watched the recent video, this is a 51 Wheaties Premium Stan Musial that got bounced around in eBay authentication. They couldn't even authenticate it because of the wording and description, but it got damaged bouncing around enough that it cracked open. I will give eBay credit. They reimbursed me to pay for it to get regraded for the insurance, the shipping, and all that. So I'll give them props for that. And then the other card that's also in eBay authentication is I'm starting to get into and we'll talk about this later, but this is a 54 Dan D Duke Snyder. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love that card. I'm going to stare at that card for 2 days when it finally comes to me. So, that's kind of some recent things that I've been picking up. Oh, wait, I got to show a couple because I know Aaron's probably curious. I got this a little bit earlier. This is the most I've ever paid for an item, and I got it from Kenny Dixon at another show earlier this year before I really even knew him, except as a dealer. It's a 1914 B18 blanket Joe Jackson. Now, I'm never going to be able to afford a Joe Jackson card, plain days card, ever. I mean, maybe if they cut it in half and I get the legs, that's the only way I'm going to afford it. But this is a beautiful plain days item, and the price I got it for. I think I paid $1,000 for it, maybe $1,100. So I think now, I'm seeing them sell, not for sale, but I've seen the sold price way more than that. And then I don't want to babble on, but I got to tell this story because we all know Jason, everyday card collector.
Who's that?
So,
what?
You guys you might have seen this video.
Aaron hasn't met him yet.
Oh yeah. Aaron doesn't know him at all. So he can tell much better than me, but anyway, he was on a video and he was talking about, he was looking for this card, or he had been watching it for months. And then he saw that somebody pulled the trigger and bought it. And it's the 37 Wheaties Series 6, I believe, Joe DiMaggio. And it was funny is I was driving back from the show in Boonville when I watched this video. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. That was me that bought that. And I literally had looked at that on eBay for a couple hours and pulled the trigger. So to the point of that is if you find something that's in your price range that catches your eye, you live once, jump on it, man, and get it. So I snagged that one. I just wanted to show that just to say, hey, Jason, thank you, buddy.
Hesitation kills. That's right.
Right.
You got to jump sometimes. Yeah, I've had that happen. I had one that I was going to pull over and do some research, and when I pulled over, it was gone. I was like, damn it, I guess I should have just bought it.
It happens.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I guess I'll share a few because I feel like part of our connection actually was maybe my post. I think a couple of folks commented on my post of just watching everybody with the national, and I had a pickup that I shared. I shared the picture of it, but that was obviously you're not buying it during the
Yep.
national, but it comes in. So it arrived while it was national time. But this is a card that I had, and we've discussed a little bit about like moving on from cards and how that evolution works. I bought a bunch of T206s in probably 07, 08, 09. And a card like this that would have been a T206, portrait, beautiful green in the background, was probably $200-300. And when we ended up buying our house, kind of in COVID era, I was pricing things out again, and I was collecting a little bit, but not super in depth. But we needed to raise some money to buy the house, and that was one of those cards. I was like, well, it's got a comma in the value now, so I guess the whatever $200, $150 has turned out to be pretty good. So moved on, but finally was able to reacquire. So that's always a good feeling too when you move something that you don't want to move.
Yep.
That's such a beautiful example too. The
Yeah.
That
picture you
was.
showed was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, when I saw that, and I feel like the unfortunate thing is people are finally wising up that the grading companies are not perfect, or that when you see a 1.5, it's not a 1.5, it's a 1.5, it's a 1.5. That's a really nice 1.5. So sometimes those go for two money, and sometimes they go for one money, and you gotta read a lot more than just the number slapped on it. So I think that one went for fair to strong, but with the looks, I mean, to me, that was just such a nice looking card.
No doubt.
Oh yeah, the green.
So,
I saw that post, and the green pops on that thing. I think green T206. It's maybe the best color. Just there's something about it. So that was a beautiful, beautiful card.
Aaron, was that from an auction house, or where did you end up purchasing that?
That's a great question. That was eBay.
eBay.
Okay.
So yeah, of sorts, yes. And then I don't know if you guys ever have this happen, but I feel like I bought one Cy Young, I bought two Cy Youngs. And so I just kind of ended up, this is a E101. Which it gets into these series where you'll see the same pose on like 2 or 3 different cards. But yeah, the E101 was one that I thought was neat. So added another, and then I added, well, I'll show 2 others. I pulled this one. It's funny. This is by far his biggest card, way beyond his rookie. But since we were talking before we came in about Louis Tiant or any other variation of his last name, I think that card's amazing. I know Sammy scored one, and I was like, dang, he got one that I wanted, so I finally caught up. His is nicer, but this one for a Venezuelan, anything that's not no paper loss on the back, it's nice, clean, it's everything I want. And I just love that image. I love the pose. I love the story of it all.
Right.
Oh yeah, my first Venezuelan should be in this week. It's 64, fits in the Phillies and also the type collection. It's 64 Clay Dalrymple. It should be here in a couple days, but that's 67. I like better.
Yeah, there's a lot of
those. Yeah,
a lot of the Venny issues are pretty cool. And that's an area that I've sort of been getting into a little bit more, inspired by Aaron and Josh over at Vintage Wonderland, great channel. But kind of moving on from what you were saying, Neil, about like your first Venny. One of the other things we talked about wanting to discuss a little bit is sort of our hobby goals and our past, present, and future hobby and where we're going with it. Maybe Neil, since you mentioned that venue being your first, maybe you want to start with that topic and kind of talk about how you're
sure.
Maybe we'll each take like 5 minutes and just talk about how our hobby goals have evolved. Yeah.
That was a great segue. I mean, just real smooth transition. Yeah. So, I guess that's why I watch all you guys. I've always been like a vintage type collector, even as a kid. The 50s, I think, was my my favorite decade, and in some ways it kind of still is. I still have a lot of the cards that I've had as a kid. Like this may be my favorite one. My screen orientation's different, but I'm just gonna. This is my favorite. Can you see that? Okay.
Oh yeah.
56 Aaron. I mean, these are all mainstream type things. This is 3 of my actually first 4 ever submissions to PSA that I actually had reholder, but I just like this kind of stuff. And
Right.
when I first started, however, you learn more, whether it's through message boards, whether it's through, YouTube now, and learning about different things. Also, I'm easily influenced. So one of the first things I bought this year was, this is like how I've been collecting over the past couple of years. So I guess my current type of collecting, right? That's what we were talking about: the past, the current, and then maybe the future. So currently I've always liked the obscure issues. Like as a kid, everyone collected tops, but I have, I like the squirt and stuff like that, from the 80s. I want to bust this open so bad, but maybe I will. It's just knowing what's in there. Yeah. But so I always like off the beaten path kind of things, and for the past couple years, I've kind of started embracing that. Being completely honest, the reason I didn't before was because a lot of the stuff PSA wouldn't grade, and I did fall into that whole, if it's a ungraded card, it may be trimmed, it may, it's all the stuff that I think was designed to get you to send some stuff in. But this year I picked up, because I was talking about influence. I saw this on Aaron's channel, and it's one of my it's just such a great image, and you don't see it a lot, but I like the oversized. I've been collecting the oversized stuff for years, and finally, coming and buying that kind of stuff. Just some obscure issues. I think I've showed this before. This is a Willie Mays. It's not a lot known about it, but it's just cool, and I had to pick it up. And postcards and oversized stuff. That's kind of what I've been doing. But in terms of the future, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll be honest. I know it's going to be a lot of ungraded stuff. I like the smaller dollar items, but I also like the bigger stuff. So, who knows? I'm going to let the future kind of see what happens. But watching some of these channels, I'm sure that's going to be, I'll be influenced one way or the other, especially by that guy in the top left-hand corner of the screen. So,
yeah,
we all influence each
pre-war
other.
pusher and maybe post-war pusher too, with that card you showed.
Yeah, he shows it all. He pulls it out. It's just yeah. But that's where I'm at. The future. We're gonna see.
Well, Aaron corrupted me too, so I'll have to blame him for that. So, when I first started collecting, I was a huge Nolan Ryan fan before the masses became. So, a couple of cards that really got me into full-blown vintage was obviously my Nolan Ryan rookie that I got from the local card shop for $11. And I just sent this off this year to be graded.
Not a bad investment.
Not a bad investment. What is the funny about this to me is this was in a binder. I probably took this in and out of the plastic sleeve and the binder. I couldn't tell you how many hundreds of times as a kid before, it took a few years, and then I started realizing, let's take it out and put it in top loaders. I mean, you didn't hardly ever see top loaders back then. Everything was in pages. But, that really got me into collecting. And then, I found this Koufax for a 1 that has 2 little pinholes that I got a few years ago. And then when I got back into collecting, I really started doing the golden era, the golden age. So I would pick up cards, like this page. And again, they're not super graded cards, but it's just something I really got into once I got big in collecting. And when I was a kid, one of the earliest the first mantle I got was the 58 triple print all-star card. But my first big mantle, big for me, that I got as a kid was the 56. And again, I just sent this off for grading. I thought it was going to come back as a 1. It came back as a 2, so I wouldn't have mattered. It didn't care either way, but it was really cool. But that Aaron guy, he shows all this oversized stuff. Now, as a kid, I was the dork that would get like the 84, 85 Topps Giants. I liked the Donruss All-Star cards. I loved, as a kid, the 64 Topps Giants. I didn't really know much else about oversized cards until Aaron started showing some on his videos. And then, I started getting cards like the White Pin, Archie Vaughn, and Bob Johnson, who I'm a huge fan of. I think he should be in a Hall of Fame. Never had a bad year. They talk about Minnie Minoso not starting his career until he was 27, and the stats he was able to compile from that period on, their stats are very identical. I mean, and he didn't start till he was 27 as well. But then some of the higher dollar ones, and that's the thing that Aaron has taught me, and Jason, I'll give him credit as well, is you can get great value on super players, Hall of Fame players, compared to like the known regional issues and oversized. And so I picked up a couple, and these are, again, like that DiMaggio I showed, these are big items for me. So here's a Butterfinger Jimmy Fox. This one was also sent to eBay authentication. They couldn't authenticate it, and it came almost as bad of packaging, but at least it was a little more protected and didn't get messed up. But I mean, for the price I could get this for, it's a beautiful item. And then another oversized item that I got, influenced by Aaron, is one of my favorite items in my collection, and that's the Dixie lid Bob Feller. That's just, of course, there's very bad glare. I don't know how I look it up if you can want to see a better picture of this, but that's art. That's not just a paper. That's art. That's beautiful. Now for the future and the current, I like Kellogg's cards. And so I made a goal, because I don't want to spend a lot of money. I'm trying to save it for Strongsville. I made a goal to get all of the 1970, just 1970 Hall of Famers for the football and baseball set. Last night on eBay, I picked up the last 4 Hall of Famers for the football set that I didn't have. I don't have OJ Simpson. I'm not going to get OJ Simpson, so I'm not counting him. Still got some baseball ones to go. But the other thing I'm trying to put together is this. I want to get the 1972 Kellogg's all-time greats, and I want to get them in uniform. And I'm not a set collector, but this is a small enough one. And I know the 70 have the roll goals. I think Neil, you might have talked about this.
I did. Yeah.
These are hard to find in a 9. I've been searching online, and I can't find any that I really want to get into. And then what was the other thing I was going to show here? I also like some of the, well, you can see it on my shirt. I like the polar bear backs. They're not the most rare, but if you get ones that have really cool backs, I think they just look beautiful. And I know Neil just showed this card, Vic Willis.
Yeah, the Delaware Peach.
Yep, and the back on this is just beautiful.
Beautiful.
I look at the
polar bear's my favorite as well,
as much as the front. And a lot of people, and here's another one that I picked up this year, Gabby Cravath.
Oh, yeah.
And what's a lot of people don't realize about these, I mean, if you know your vintage cards, you do, but I didn't know about this until I started looking into them. These are actually placed in the shredded or whatever it was, the pouch. So there's tobacco stains on these. You can see them if you look at them close. And that's how they're supposed to look. But I've been picking up guys, Hall of Famers, some of them I can't afford. But if they have an interesting story like Gabby Cravath does, or this guy, the freshest man on earth, Harley Latham, again in the polar bear backs. So I've kind of been doing that too. Now for my future goals, I've talked about this before, and I think this is true for the majority of vintage collectors. No matter where we started, a lot of us are around the same age. We started out collecting the junk wax in the 80s and the 90s. And now I started doing that too, but I started with vintage almost immediately. But there seems to be a progression where no matter where you start out, most people start out collecting the current stuff that's out. Then they start getting into the cards from like the 70s and the 60s, the golden era stuff, back into the 50s and 40s. And then they jump back to pre-war, and then they kind of get their fill of that. And then they start moving on to, more oddball or rare regional stuff, the red hearts, the dandies, the oversized. So I'm just real curious. And I asked this question to Greg, Midlife Cards, on one of his, and he put this on his video. The question I asked, what's next? And I'm still relatively new to getting back into the hobby, but some people are set and they're only going to collect that one thing and they're perfectly fine with that. But I'm just really curious where that next transition is. It going to be autographs? Is that, I mean, it seems to be autographs are in that category too. Now, I don't know. I'm just curious to see where people go to next once they kind of get their fill of what they want. So I'd like to know your guys' opinions.
Maybe we should move to Aaron, because I know he's got a very deep collection in all those areas. And
absolutely.
Aaron, curious to hear about your past, present, and future to answer that question, hobby goals.
91 Fleer? I think it's 91 Fleer for sure, right?
91 Fleer is definitely the future. I think I'm trying to make that my present, but no, actually, I had originally pulled just one card for kind of representing each, and I just decided to pick all Babe Ruth cards. My past, I would say, is still present and probably future, because I feel like I've been on the same path when I got a T206 Christy Mathewson. So like I've always appreciated what it is. My Ernie Banks rookie is from childhood, and it's always been protected. It was in a not a binder. It was always either screw downs, which who knew?
Right.
My bad. But I was always trying to protect it in the best way possible. But one of the cards I think that indicates like how I have always collected is something like that, where it's somewhat tough but somewhat more accessible. If you're going to get a Babe Ruth card, that's one of your more accessible ones.
Yeah.
It's a 1 because it has some back damage, but the front itself, if you're just trying to appreciate that as a card, it's pretty decent. I mean, there is some creasing, and actually, if you get in really close, like I don't know what it is without the back damage, but in terms of like how you look at a card, when I hold it like this and look at it, nice, it's good. Yeah. So for me, that's kind of my history. I've always been an appreciator of it looks way better than it is, and it's priced like it's worse. So I've always hunted for that. As you guys mentioned, ever so kindly, I have evolved currently into things that are oversized. For me, this is, I mean, you talk about like the trends in the future. I don't know if people have storage capacity issues for the rest of their life, but I feel like oversize is a huge area of opportunity because they're still selling. This is a 1934 Butterfinger.
Yeah.
What's a 33 Gaudi go for? $5-6 grand if it's been run over. And this is like sub 2 and looks glorious and is a real image and is huge, and like there's everything great about that.
And Aaron, that's why I think that stuff like the oversize, I almost hate talking about it so much, because I hear more and more people getting into it for that very reason. I mean, a lot of those cards in the regular issues, they're out of my price range. And there's a lot of guys, there's more guys like me out there than the guy spending, $100,000 a month on cards. So as that kind of that transition where you start with the golden era, I'm looking at some guys now that are recent to YouTube that live in my area that I've met, and they're kind of in the golden era, but they've already started moving to other stuff because of what they see here on YouTube. So I can see definitely, if this book comes out 10 years from now, you're going to see those oversized cards, I think, priced up there pretty high. And some of, I just think that's a natural transition. That supply is going to start going away because people are going to demand on getting cards of those Hall of Famers from pre-war. That's going to be what they can afford now. They're not going to be able to afford the regular issued high dollar ones.
Well, and the crazy shock of it is like that the population of those, graded or ungraded, it's far more scarce.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ask folks like who has a Gaudi Ruth or who can find one for sale, like they're out there. Who's got a Butterfinger Ruth? Like sometimes there's a couple out there, sometimes there's none. And then that kind of gets into like my, my future. The future is now, right? So I have a good representation of the future. It's a 19, and I've shown this, and it's actually the image on my channel. But when you talk about like Babe Ruth stuff and tough to get, 1926 Trinidad cigars, premium. So it's it's everything. That's literally the image on my channel. That's like everything I want. It's impossible to find. Most years it doesn't sell. Most decades it probably sells once or twice at most. So you're talking a long, long wait. And this was for auction at the last Strongsville, and I was walking around Strongsville saying, like, if anyone bids on that, I'm gonna be mad. You better not win that. It's mine. And just giving everybody a hard time. But they're like, what is that thing? Like, that's exactly what I like. Like,
Yeah.
when I show something and someone's like, what is that? I'm like, win. That's where I collect right now. So I want something that's just unknown, unseen. It's from 1926 World Series, so it's like a 26-27 issue. And I actually was just texting with another gentleman in the community, and he's like, how do you price something that hasn't sold this year? Like, that's kind of where I
It's
bid
a
on
tough
that.
Right.
Yeah, you just kind of
Yeah.
like go until you're like, I think I'm out of money, or that seems dumb. But until then, you either buy it or you don't.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Have you seen? I mean, you've been collecting oversized for a long time now. Have you seen, let's say, the last 5 years? Have you seen more competition in finding these items? Obviously, I'm sure the prices have gone up some, but have you seen a change as someone who's really heavily into oversized in terms of people out buying them? Have you already started seeing an uptick in that?
I think. I mean, it feels like it. I will say there's still one or two sets that I think are underappreciated, and I've not talked about them on purpose.
Well, don't and text me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I think the weird thing is, like, you mentioned John Mangini and Greg, and some of the big time channels, and of course, when they mention something, they could move the needle. There's enough
Right.
people watching that
Sure.
10 people might jump in. Our little channels, like, maybe somebody watches and gives a darn. But the crazy thing is, with something like that, it takes one.
Yeah.
It doesn't take 89
Yeah.
Upper Deck Griffey. Like, I could say best card ever, amazing card, go buy it, and like, who cares? It's saying collect nickels. When you find something like that it takes one more person to go out there and say, like, I'll spend $1,000 more. Like, well, now it's $1,000 more. That's
Yeah,
just
just
how that
think of
goes.
all the thousands of dollars people spend on Will Greer cards on behalf of Jeff Wilson. So
Yeah, that's just insanity.
Yeah.
Some of
Yeah.
the pricing on guys that are just playing, it's just
Yeah.
I was at a show a few years ago in the Kansas City area, and there's this guy going around, and he was buying every Bam Adebayo card that was there. And he just thought he was going to be the next superstar center. I mean, he was buying cards for thousands of bucks, and my mind was blown. I'm like, this guy could end up just being a guy, and guess what? He's just a guy.
Yeah.
But to collect what you like, that's fine. I have the same opinion with the Pokemon. It's just not for me. But I mean, I like to know. I'm not a gambler. I don't have the money to gamble. There's a show on Friday night. I forgot the name of it. It's a big show, and the guy talks forever. Carlos, I can't remember. But I put a question on there, basically saying, I don't understand the deal about like the breaking or the gambling aspect of it, and either if you're uber rich or you don't have much money, I just don't understand that. And they talked about, well, hey, if you got the money, why not? That wasn't the question. It's like, I don't understand the attraction to doing that chase.
There were people gambling on cards when we were kids too in the 80s. I remember going to baseball card shows and seeing stacks of Mike Harkey rookie cards, buy 100 of them, buy all the Greg Jeffries or Greg Olson or whatever. I mean, it's been a part of the hobby. That kind of rush and kind of quick investment kind of thing has been around, and to some extent it draws people into the hobby. And some people stick around, and some people leave because they want to go on to the next big and shiny thing.
I think the big difference though is the money. Like, I remember, here's a funny one. For those of you who started collecting in the 80s, I remember 1983 Fleer came out, and there was a couple of rookie cards in there: Wade Boggs, Sandberg, Tony Gwynn. But the one that everybody wanted in 1983 was Ron Kittle.
Yeah.
That was a big card, and that's like $1 card, or $1.50
Sure.
card or something like. I remember the San Diego Chicken card in 1982 Donruss. I could trade that card if I got in a pack for 4 other packs.
Sure. And even the 86 Donruss Conseco card was like, it was a
Yeah.
$20 card. It wasn't
Yeah.
like a $20,000
Yeah.
card or whatever.
And that's to
Yep.
me where the
Right.
huge change is at thousands of bucks that
But
people
yeah, for sure.
investing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, go
well,
ahead.
Mark, I was just going to say, I'm going to make sure we hear your past, present, future thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
course.
well, past, I mean, I was kind of like you, Mike. I did collect vintage when I was a kid, and that was like what I was drawn to initially. I did buy a lot of junk wax and sold it so that I could fund my vintage projects. I was largely a player collector. I've collected like Pete Rose, Steve Carlton, Fergie Jenkins, Gaylord Perry, and Don Drysdale was my biggest one. But I collected a lot of different players. And then I got into 1958 tops, and I love the design, those bright colors.
Yeah.
The subset that I showed earlier, and that became a big focus of my collecting. And I kind of dabbled in adding to that up until like maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I finally completed the set. So that was like a huge focus of my collecting, and I still have that set. I've added a couple upgrades, but not really done much to it. So that was my past. And then I switched my focus to collecting Dodgers cards because they're my favorite team. And I was like, well, I want a new focus. And so I sold off a lot of, cards that didn't really fit into that. And decided I was going to start with the cards from the, team sets from the 1979 and on back. And at the same time, I also like kind of rare, more unique things. And that's how I got into, some of the pre-war stuff. Looking at, that's how I got my Zach Wheat focus, because I was like, he's the greatest Dodger in terms of statistics for so many all-time records.
Right.
Why do I not have any in my collection? So I started, and I made a whole video about all the Zach Wheat cards. I'm not going to show them here. But so I've been building these team sets, and now I've gotten a lot of them. I've completed all the 1970s and all the 1960s except for 13 cards, and that's my current goal. My real goal. I keep getting distracted by other things. I grab this here, grab that there. Like how it is. So I've been kind of adding things here and there, but my absolute goal that I'm going to do this year is I'm going to finish off these ones. And the big card that I need is the 1962 Topps Bob Uecker that also has a Dodger on it. This is a big problem. I also had to recently pick up, Aaron knows about this, but I consulted him about buying it, but I had to recently pick up the ever elusive and all important Ken McMullen rookie card from 1963. It also has this mediocre player named Pete Rose. There's there's also this issue is on the 1973 Ron Say card, who some people call it Mike Schmidt card, and the 1971 Tom Paciorek, who also happens to have Don Baylor and Dusty Baker on it. So those are those are kind of tougher ones. But anyway, here's some 62s. I'm almost done with these sets, but I'm just going to add to them. And my goal at the West Coast Card Show is to finish those 13 cards. And then there's like 3 cards I want to upgrade. And then I'll have all the Dodger team sets from 1979 back to 1956 and also 1955 Bowman. The other small project I'm working on that I want to complete, that Joe Redneck Collector is also working on, we're going to try and complete this by Labor Day and maybe do some kind of a stream together about it, is completing Kurt Flood's run, which has nothing to do with Dodger cards, but I just have a tremendous amount of respect for him, given his role in the hobby and the sacrifice that he made for the players in terms of labor. So that's my current goals. And then my future, I'm going to, I have huge gaps in my collection. My 1930s and 1940s is like terrible. Like I have like some good cards, but I don't have a lot. So I really need to work on that. I would like to. Here's a couple that I have that are nice though. This Hack Wilson. I got this Dazzy Vance. This is a cool one. This is a 4-in-1 Gaudy, which has Dodgers on it.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it is the back. You also get Hank Greenberg.
Oh wow.
Mm.
So
Oh, okay.
and you can get a Hank Greenberg second year card for under $50. So that's kind
Yeah,
of neat.
I didn't know that.
But
Is that
go pick
is
them
that
up.
on every one?
This is the I think they're on. I don't know. I think they're. I looked for one specifically with that because I knew about it.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, go get that one. Greenberg second year, $50. But anyway, I want to add more to like my 40s and 30s, and
Sure.
continue to pick up also more like kind of more. I guess you'd say like different oddball stuff. I want to end up getting the O-Pee-Chees. I want to get some Kellogg's. Here's my one Kellogg's card. There you go, Mike.
Nice.
You know, things like Bell brands. This is my only Bell brand. I know there's also the Morel meats. And then of course, Neil, for you, I got to continue with these. These are my few Vennies that I have.
Yeah,
Don't have
that's
that
next
many
on my
left.
list. Is 67 is next on my list.
I'd love
Oh,
to add
Nice.
Venny parallels to all my Dodger cards. So that's going to be a huge project. So a lot of goals, not enough money, a lot of, but I got a lot of time. Hopefully, you know, we'll
Sure.
see.
right.
That's
Outstanding.
awesome. Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, it's fun to see where everybody's collecting focus can kind of evolve and move to. That's always fun to see.
It always changes, right? It's
Yeah.
I think that's part of just watching YouTube. You know, things come up and cards you're not familiar with, and or you may have just forgotten about. And I mean, I like YouTube better than TV. I think a lot of it, and you know, it's just real interesting to watch. We all love seeing cards, hearing stories. It's good stuff. So, you know, it's now if you were going to that show, Mark, and someone, you know, the Great Gazoo pops up and gives you $5,000, right?
Neil, you're too generous. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you have to buy either one card or up to 10 cards, but they have to be you know, evenly divided. And so, not 10 $1 cards and, you know, keep the money, but you got to spend $5,000, you know, give or take, or do you buy one or
Well, this is
2 through 10?
yeah, this is actually an easy question for me, Neil. Even though like I would like to spend $5,000 on a bazillion different things. There's two cards that I've really wanted for my collection that I think if I had $5,000 burning a hole in my pocket, I could divide pretty evenly and get these two cards. The first is like the last, I think, main issue, I would say, for Zach Wheat that I don't have. There's a lot of like smaller, like rarer things that I need. I mean, he's got a huge checklist, but the one that I don't have is the 1914 Cracker Jack. And I think I could get that in maybe like a 1.5 or a 2 for about half of that.
Sure.
Here's my 1915.
Oh,
And these have like ballooned in price. I got this, which was the most I've ever spent on a card, for $850 like 2 years ago.
That's
And
awesome.
I've seen ones that are like lower grade, like a 2, that went for like $1,300 or $1,400. So these things are just gone crazy. So I'd hope to get maybe get a 1914 and a 1 or a 1.5, something like that,
Okay.
or a 2. And then the other one is a big, big hole in my collection, is one of the greatest Dodgers ever, and that's Jackie Robinson. I only have one
Nice.
card of Jackie Robinson, and it's this one. That's not a team card. I've got a lot of team cards, but this is the one card. So I would get the 49 Bowman Jackie Robinson rookie card. So I think those two I could get for about $2,500 each. Good looking, low grade examples of them. So that's how I'd spend it. And if anyone wants to, if you want to give me $5,000, I'll take it.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I'll be right
you say
back. I
that
got my
because-
power cord. Hold on.
Well, that's funny you said that the 49 Bowman, because I was thinking about this. Actually, I've been thinking about a question like this for a while. Billy Ballgame about a month ago did a video where he just asked opinions, and he had two different groups. He had Group A cards, which were some like the rookie cards pre-war, but in lower grade, and then he had newer cards of like the 50s and 60s. And he just say, "Hey, which would you rather buy for the all things being equal? If you had like $3,500 to spend, which group would you pick from?" And knowing Billy, the little that I do, but you could hear it in his voice, he is definitely a Group B guy. He'd rather have the little bit better grade of maybe not the the top of the tier cards than some of the like the ones of a Joe DiMaggio or a Robinson or something like that. And I was going to do a video response to him. I talked to him like, hey, I might put some thought into this and think about from my own perspective, but I tend to go, if I had $5,000, knowing how many cards I have in my collection, which are just an overload, but I don't have a lot of like super top tier cards. So for me personally, knowing from studying the trends of, how much, I can find like that Nolan Ryan that I got for $11, great investment in a 5.5. I could find that anywhere. And in a few years, I could probably still afford one. But some of those cards that I would like to get, like that Robinson, I don't see that thing doing anything but that. I just don't. I mean, I just don't see cards like that doing anything but going up where if I had the opportunity to come across money like that, I would definitely go for like the 49 Bowman Robinson. I would love a Hank Aaron rookie. I had one that I sold back when I used to sell at shows. I would love to go back and get one of those. 52 Mays is the same way. Now, they would have to be lower graded cards, but sure, for a guy like me, I expect to get that, and I can find a copy that's clean enough that will make me happy. So if I had to choose, like between getting 5 cards for $1,000 or 1 card for 5,000, where I'm at now, knowing my situation and what I have in my collection currently, I would love to go back and get a T206 Walter Johnson portrait in a low grade. I would love to get, like I said, the Robinson card or the Hank Aaron rookie. I think I would like to get one that just would instantly be the card of my collection. Because I'm just dreaming. I'm not going to have $5,000 to spend on a card, but that's if I could get one like that, sure, that's what I would go for.
I like that. Yeah, we lost Neil, unfortunately, so hopefully he'll pop back in here real soon and I can get him added back. So this was really his question. This was his brainchild of thought, and I think I love that. I love the thought of where other collectors fall, because it's fun to see just how people are completely different.
Yeah.
It's some
And
people
nobody's right,
there.
nobody's wrong. It's just whatever fits. Like Billy made it very clear in his comments. He would have trouble. Like, well, I'll show you an example. Here's my Matthews. I think this is one of the most beautiful cards. I mean, he's just a photogenic guy. I mean, let's admit it. He's just got great cards. I would love to get the T206 Matthewson, not the portrait, but the one with like the black, the dark cap. I just think that's a beautiful card. But if you look at this one, it's got some issues. It has nothing on his face though. You can still see Matty, but it has a little bit of paper loss. But for a guy like me, that's what I can afford. I'm not going to be able to afford this at a 5 or 6. And so I got this a while back. And could I have been a little bit more patient and got one cheaper? Maybe, but not for the price I paid for this. I mean, I got it for a really good price. That's why I jumped on it when I could. But yeah, I mean, Billy probably would have trouble having this card because he admitted it's harder for him to look at some of the flaws on a card. And my opinion is, and especially for those of you who are lower budget guys, if you know you can't get a card, or if you buy a card, it's not going to make you happy, you think you might down the line want to upgrade it, don't get it. Just don't. Just be patient or try to find something else. That's the best advice I can give somebody who's kind of new and getting into vintage. Don't buy something that when you get it, that's not going to be a card that you're going to be happy with. Because I can't remember the last time I bought a card that I was like, oh, I need to upgrade it at some point. I know my limitations. I'm not going to waste my money doing that. If I get something, it's a card I know I'm going to want to keep in my collection and be happy with it forever. So,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, I think
I think he's coming back. There he is.
Yeah. I saw the power just going down and down and down. I'm like, and the cord was upstairs. I thought I'd make it, but I didn't. So, but I'm back.
Welcome back.
I probably missed the best part of the show too.
Absolutely, and then we're all done. We'll see you guys next time. Now,
we were just figuring out ways that you were going to spend. You were going to spend your money. There's 3 of us, 15 grand, so we're ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get your addresses, write some checks. Actually, I sent it to you, Mike, but you don't have PayPal, so.
I do have PayPal. I just don't know how it works. Trust me, I've spent a lot of money through PayPal.
Oh yeah,
a lot of money on eBay through PayPal.
Honestly, that's how my collection kind of works. It's I use PayPal credit for everything. And I all the family funds and savings and retirement, all that stuff, that's all separate. The collecting, I kind of try to keep it self-contained to what I do. And so I buy and sell through using a lot of credit. But I mean, paying it off with the money, not
Right.
not I don't never do the interest stuff. But
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Aaron,
Do you want to?
how would you spend your $5,000?
So for me, I would say you guys have seen like my silly little box videos and things. I would probably at this point go with, if they had to be equals, I would probably just go with one big card.
Yeah.
And I did kind of consolidate as an example of something. I think this was 4. And what's funny is I actually traded a 49 Bowman Jackie as one of the 3 cards I traded for this. But I think the asking price on this was 4K, and it was a straight up trade. So I moved 3 cards into this one, and it's from Strongsville last year. And it's one that I think kind of defines and explains exactly how I collect. It's oversized. It's W554, Lou Gehrig. This one I wish wasn't so nice. It's in a 4. I would prefer it not to be. There's only one other one I've ever seen though, and it was in like an A and it looked like it was used for target practice, like literally. There was like BB holes in it or something, and I mean parts of it missing, and it was still like $900. So I said, well, to the point of, do you buy it if you think you're gonna, like, this is one you really can't ever upgrade, and I don't know how you move that because it's like uncompable. They're going to look at it and be like, well, 3 years ago it sold for this, and it's the same card, and you bought it. So I don't know if it's worth that or not. So when I saw this, and it was one of those things at Strongsville where I just said, that's got to be a pain in the butt to have to pack up and take back with you. You should probably just make that deal with me. And it was interesting. The dealer said usually when people bring stuff to trade, they bring unrealistic junk that nobody wants, and they're asking like eBay dream retail price. He's like, you actually brought me good stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, a Musial Bowman rookie, a Jackie 49 Bowman, like it's stuff that you can move if you're a dealer. So yeah, I made a 3-for-1 swap. But I think if I could find, to Mike's point of, I would probably get the nicest Gehrig or Walter Johnson or somebody that's on my list, that is in the worst possible shape, but something that you've never seen before. And that's what gets me, getting something, if it's an 8 and I've seen it in a 6 and it's half the price, I'd buy the 6 and it doesn't give me oohs and ahs. But when you show me something and you're like, what set is that? Where's that from?
Yeah.
That's what gets me jacked. And it doesn't have to be $5,000. It could be $80. I mean, Louis Tiont's a couple $100. Like that still gets me just as jacked, because I'm like, yeah, you want it too? Go find one. Good luck if they're not available right now. Like that to me is fun. That's cool.
I agree.
So I'd go one big hitter if I had Neil's money to spend and $5,000.
Yeah, now I'm up to 15,000. So
yeah.
Well, Neil, you got $5,000 left. How would you spend it?
So it's interesting because like the couple $100 cards, like that's my sweet spot. I like buying cards for 50 to a couple hundred. I mean, there's a lot of great cards out there to buy.
Absolutely.
But a choice of one card or up to 10, knowing I don't have a Gehrig or a couple of other players that I don't have an example of, and I'd like to get a Gehrig, preferably like a Gowdy or even just some like a Yingling, something. It's going to cost money. I think, Aaron, didn't you just buy a Gehrig? You just got one, 34 maybe a couple months ago, or maybe it was someone else.
30,
beautiful card.
34 Gowdy. Yep.
Yeah, and there's besides Gowdy, there's a worldwide gun, but I'm probably going to go one big card. I picked up, and I had everything. Hold on, let me get my box. I had everything kind of over to one spot, but I got to plug this stuff in, so everything's now over there. But if I didn't have a Cobb, I'd be getting a Cobb, but I picked up a Cobb last year, and this is like a really nice 2. Why I don't know why it's a 2, but I would like to find a Gehrig kind of where it's just like this. Borderline miscut on the back, just a sweet cap back, but you know, I was gonna say 10 cards, but I'm changing it to just 1 because I couldn't resist if it was free money. Well, I guess
Right.
for free money for you guys because I guess I'm writing a check.
It's your money.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think I would go 1 card as well. I didn't hear the other answers. I heard Aaron's because my phone went out, but
somehow this turned into if you had $5,000 to how are we spending Neil's money? But I don't know.
Yeah. I guess that's the other question. Yeah, just don't tell my wife.
There's lots of variables. It depends on the card too. Like when Billy was asking his question, I was thinking about it. It depends on the card. I mean, obviously, if it's a card that's like Neil, like you were looking for, if it meets that appeal for you, then yeah, that's going to make a difference. And if you don't find it, and another opportunity comes around where you're going to spend $1,000 on 5 cards, and that may be the way you go. I mean, that's what's great about this hobby is we can change our mind tomorrow. I mean, I could just throw everything away and go, I'm a Pokemon collector tomorrow. I doubt it. But, you never know what's going to happen. And that's what's great is we all have opinions. I know that I have changed my opinions on all kinds of things with the hobby over the years.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think all of this, Neil said that we would go at least for if not maybe spending it all on 1 card, at least getting, I think Mark was talking
1 or
about
2 maybe.
2 of them. Yeah. I think we've kind of all agreed that would be the way the 4 of us would go today.
Yeah, no, it's hard to resist. It's hard to resist that big card, but my collection is not filled with big cards. It's more a lot of smaller cards.
Yeah, same.
But cool, and but it's just like Aaron pointed out, just like all of you guys have shown something where, it's a certainly, the whole personality of our collection is shown, and just off the beaten path type stuff and unique things. And it's just, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely fun. It's interesting just to see how everybody thinks. I think we did a pretty solid job of talking hobby, talking a little bit of national, but when we were kind of joking, like, do we just mention nothing about the national, pretend like it's not going on? That's definitely, it's not just overwhelmingly present on YouTube, but it's also overwhelmingly fun just to see what everyone's doing. And I think we are having the FOMO is from hanging out with everybody, and it's not so much from the cards. I mean, you can find those cards. There's nothing really. There'll be a Philly, there'll be a West Coast National, there'll be a something, a Strongsville next year. Like, we're gonna have those opportunities in the room. It's just it's the chance to hang out and have some community time. So
sure,
appreciate everybody coming together today. This is kind of a spur of the moment. A couple days ago, we're just like, let's do this, and you guys are all in. So it's amazing.
Thanks for hosting.
Thanks for having it.
Great talking with y'all.
I appreciate it completely, and I'm looking forward to meeting you guys in person. I'm sure that'll happen somewhere along the line. So, no, this was great. I love these collaborations and things like that. Again, I collected so long on an island. I'll jump at any chance I get to hop on with some collectors and just hearing your stories, and because the stories are the other thing. It's one thing just to buy a card, but to have a story behind it. And hear the joy when people pick up an item that they've been on the hunt for, or maybe they didn't get it on the hunt for. They just popped up and they're like, "Hey, I like that card." I love hearing the stories behind picking up the cards. So,
yeah, totally agree. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate everyone jumping in. Since I'm kind of the controller of all devices, I'll be wrapping it up here. But I guess worst case, maybe we'll hook up in Philly, Neil. We'll see what happens. And that's a super long haul, but I guess we'll see you in Strongsville.
Definitely be in Strongsville, yeah.
Yeah.
So
if anybody wants to come out to a future West Coast card show, you all are welcome.
Well, we're definitely going to work on
Disneyland is on my list if it's in Anaheim.
Very good. Very good. Well, thanks, guys. We're going to sign it off, and we'll have to do this again soon.
All right.
Thanks, Aaron. Hey,
thanks.
Good seeing you, Mark. See you, Mike.
See you guys.
See y'all.
Yep.